Somewhere between your kitchen and your fruit bowl, your brain may be under silent attack. And the danger doesn't come from candy, soda, or the obvious junk foods we've been warned about for decades. No, this threat hides inside fruits you've trusted your entire life. Fruits you've been told are safe, wholesome, even healing. I'm Dr. Bill Harrison, a neurologist and stroke specialist, and what I'm about to share with you could change the way you look at your diet forever. For over 25 years, I've treated patients who believed they were doing everything right. They avoided processed foods, exercised, and filled their kitchens with what they thought were the healthiest choices possible. Yet many still ended up in my office, dizzy, weak, foggy, sometimes recovering from a terrifying mini-stroke. And when we looked deeper, the culprit wasn't chips or cake. It was fruit. Now let me be clear, fruit isn't the enemy. Eaten correctly, it can be powerful medicine. But after 60, your body doesn't process fruit the way it used to. Sugars linger longer in the bloodstream. Potassium builds up more easily. Arteries stiffen and lose flexibility. What once nourished you in your 40s can quietly endanger you in your 70s. Harvard researchers have shown that repeated sugar spikes stiffen blood vessels, while the American Heart Association reports that strokes strike most often between midnight and 6 a.m., the very hours when many seniors still have fruit sugar circulating from their evening snack. Combine those risks with the wrong timing, and you create the perfect storm for silent brain damage. If you or someone you love has ever reached for raisins at night, poured a morning glass of juice, or finished dinner with a big bowl of melon, this may be the most important video you watch this year. Because I'm going to reveal 8 fruits that, eaten in the wrong way, can raise your stroke risk without you even knowing it. But first, a quick engagement check. If you've always believed fruit was safe, type 1 in the comments. If you've ever suspected there might be a hidden danger, type 0. And no matter which you choose, hit subscribe to Inspired Living right now, because your brain and your future depend on the decisions you make today. Let me tell you about Margaret. She was 71 when she first came to my office, a retired teacher who lived the way most of us wish we could. No soda, no candy, no greasy takeout. She walked daily, swam twice a week, and followed the Mediterranean diet. Friends admired her discipline, and like so many, she believed fruit was her safest indulgence. Raisins on her oatmeal, dried apricots in the afternoon, a big bowl of melon every night. But one evening, without warning, Margaret collapsed. Dizziness hit so hard she couldn't stand. Her husband rushed to help, but she was slurring her words, her left hand numb. By the time the ambulance arrived, most symptoms had faded, but what happened was clear. Margaret had suffered a transient ischemic attack, a mini-stroke, a warning that a bigger one could be near. Her diet looked flawless until I noticed her fruit habits. Concentrated sugars from dried fruit, hidden potassium overload from melons, and the dangerous timing of eating them late at night. These choices, seemingly harmless, were quietly pushing her circulation and brain to the edge. Margaret was stunned. How could something as natural as fruit betray her? But she isn't alone. Millions over 60 are making the same mistakes daily. And Margaret's collapse proves why knowledge matters. Now let's uncover the 8 fruits most likely to trigger this hidden danger. Fruit number 1, raisins. They look harmless, a sprinkle on cereal, a handful with nuts. But when grapes are dried, their water vanishes and their sugar concentrates. A small handful of raisins carries as much sugar as a candy bar. The difference is, with candy, you know you're indulging. With raisins, the sugar hides behind the word natural. Harvard studies show that repeated sugar spikes stiffen arteries, making blood flow turbulent and less protective. For older adults, that turbulence is the first step toward clots and strokes. And raisins are small enough that people rarely stop at a handful, meaning 3 or 4 candy bars worth of sugar can slip by in minutes. I once treated a woman in her late 60s who proudly swapped cookies for trail mix. Yet her blood sugar rose, her mornings were foggy, and her memory slipped. Removing the raisins made the difference. Her numbers stabilized, the fog cleared, and she felt sharp again. The fix? Fresh fruits like apples, pears, or berries deliver hydration and fiber that slow sugar's impact. But raisins, especially at night, are candy in disguise, and your arteries know it. Fruit number 2, dried cranberries. Bright, festive, and tossed into salads, they carry a reputation for urinary health. But here's the problem. Raw cranberries are so tart manufacturers drown them in sugar, sometimes doubling their weight. A small handful can match a candy bar's sugar. The Cleveland Clinic warns that added sugars fuel long-term artery inflammation. Stiffened vessels can't carry blood smoothly to the brain, raising the risk of both clots and bleeds. I treated a man in his 70s who exercised faithfully but suffered dizzy spells. The culprit? A daily salad topped with dried cranberries. He thought it was harmless until we cut them out. Replacing them with blueberries stabilized his energy and ended the dizziness. The fix isn't to give up cranberries, it's to skip the dried, sweetened ones. Fresh cranberries blended into a smoothie or cooked without sugar are safe. But the store-bought dried versions? Think of them as candy wearing a healthy costume. Fruit number 3, banana chips. Golden, crunchy, and satisfying. They feel like nature's potato chips. But banana chips are rarely just dried. They're fried in oils, coated in sugar, even glazed. What looks like fruit is really a sugar and fat bomb. Frying introduces trans fats, the artery-clogging kind that glue circulation shut. Layer sugar on top, and you've got a double hit. Fats, hardening vessels, sugar spiking blood pressure, both battering your brain. One retired engineer kept a bowl of banana chips on his counter as his healthy treat. Yet, he was sluggish, dizzy, foggy. Swapping banana chips for apple slices and almonds restored his clarity in weeks. The fix: enjoy bananas fresh, preferably in the morning when your metabolism can handle sugar. And if you crave crunch, roasted nuts, or crisp vegetables, deliver it without poisoning your arteries. Fruit number 4, dried apricots. Soft, golden, and tart, they seem like the gentle snack a grandmother would offer, but drying locks in sugar. Just 4 apricots can equal a slice of cake. Because they're small and chewy, it's easy to eat double or triple without realizing it. The Mayo Clinic warns that repeated sugar spikes erode artery flexibility, the first step toward atherosclerosis, the slow narrowing of vessels feeding the brain. I recall a woman in her 60s who carried dried apricots everywhere. Over time, her blood pressure rose and fatigue set in. Once she swapped them for a fresh peach, her energy returned and pressure stabilized. The fix: fresh apricots, rich in fiber and water, are safe. Dried ones act like candy, and aging arteries can't afford the stress. Fruit number 5, cantaloupe. Refreshing, light, and often eaten as dessert, cantaloupe hides 2 dangers: potassium and sugar. Normally, potassium helps the heart, but aging kidneys, especially in those on blood pressure meds, struggle to clear it. The result? Dangerous rhythm changes and sudden drops in blood pressure. Then comes the sugar. Cantaloupe has a higher glycemic index than many expect, spiking blood sugar quickly. For seniors, that means energy crashes and brain fog. A man in his 70s ended every dinner with a big bowl of cantaloupe. His reward was grogginess in the mornings and dizziness at night. Once he swapped it for berries at midday, his symptoms vanished. The fix: a few cubes of cantaloupe earlier in the day are fine, but avoid big bowls at night when your brain is most vulnerable. Fruit number 6, mulberries. For many, mulberries bring back memories of childhood trees and purple-stained fingers. Fresh, they're fine, but dried mulberries create chaos especially for anyone on diabetes medication. The Journal of Diabetes Research notes that mulberries can push blood sugar unpredictably, sometimes high, sometimes dangerously low. That roller coaster strains circulation, weakens brain vessels, and raises stroke risk. One woman added dried mulberries to her cereal daily, proud of her choice. Instead, she suffered trembling hands, fatigue, and brain fog. Removing them ended her crashes almost overnight. The fix: enjoy mulberries fresh and sparingly. Avoid dried versions if you're on blood sugar meds. They're too unpredictable. Fruit number 7, honeydew. Mild, pale green, refreshing. It seems harmless, but honeydew is sneaky. It tastes light, yet delivers a steady stream of sugar. Because it's hydrating, people eat far more than they realize. Half a melon in one sitting isn't unusual. The American Diabetes Association warns that these repeated sugar loads accelerate vascular aging. Fatigue, brain fog, and palpitations often follow, but many never trace it back to the melon. One man began each day with a honeydew smoothie. Instead of energy, he got weakness, cloudiness, and heart flutters. Switching to berries stabilized his mornings within weeks. The fix: keep honeydew portions to half a cup, paired with protein or nuts. Avoid large bowls, especially at night. Fruit number 8, pluots. A hybrid of plums and apricots, pluots are sold as summer jewels, colorful, juicy, irresistible. But they were bred for one trait: extreme sweetness. That means even a small serving hits the bloodstream like pure sugar. For seniors, slower insulin response makes that spike dangerous. Arteries tense, pressure swings, and vessel walls weaken. I recall one man who ended every dinner with a pluot, proud he'd chosen it over pie, yet he woke at night with a racing heart. Replacing pluots with kiwi slices calmed his sleep and stabilized his heart. The fix: treat pluots like dessert. A few slices occasionally are fine, but nightly servings overload aging arteries. Now, let's bring this together. You've just seen how 8 common fruits can quietly destabilize your brain and arteries. But the solution isn't giving up fruit, it's eating it wisely. I call it the brain-safe fruit protocol. Firstly, keep sweeter fruits in the morning when your metabolism is strongest. Apples, pears, berries, they hydrate and nourish without overwhelming circulation. Secondly, enjoy melons or pineapple only at midday and in small portions. Always whole fruit, never juice. Juice is just soda wearing a health label. Thirdly, in the evening, avoid sugary fruits altogether. Replace them with nuts, avocado, or herbal teas, snacks that satisfy without spiking blood sugar. Margaret followed this protocol. She swapped melon for chamomile tea, apricots for fresh berries, raisins for crisp apple slices. 3 months later, her dizzy spells stopped, her pressure stabilized, and she told me, "Doctor, I feel clearer now than I have in years." So let me ask you, how many of these warning signs do you recognize? Do you feel dizzy after fruit? Do you wake with fog, palpitations, or sudden pressure swings? Comment your number below. I want to hear your story. And before you go, hit subscribe to Inspired Living, because every week we reveal science-backed ways to protect your brain, strengthen your heart, and extend your independence. In the next video, I'll reveal the single most dangerous morning habit seniors make without even realizing it. Trust me, you don't want to miss it.